Welcome to another summer edition of Floatplan. I'm here, Tim Boyle, up in Garden Bay in British Columbia with my good friend Matt Maynard down at the Irwin Yacht Sales headquarters in Seattle, Washington.
South Lake Union, the back of the office is in our conference room, and I probably let it slip a little bit, Timmy. Kind of see what's behind me and kind of what's coming. So if you zoom in, you'll have a little indication of what we're about to announce at the VIP night at the boat show coming up mid-September. I don't want to let too much out of the bag, but I think if you take a quick peek, you'll see the initial planning of our big announcement for next month. So, and just be prepared, summer of 2027, summer of Irwin fun.
So I think it's going to be a blast. And I know we've been talking about this for a while now, but it's going to be a really cool rendezvous. If for anybody listening, this will be a quick plug. If you go to YouTube, you'll get a lot more info if you look at that whiteboard, but that's all we'll let slip. Are we sharing the location yet? Are we going to tell everybody where we're going?
It will actually be closer to Seattle. So this is going to be one of the times where people don't have to travel an entire day to get to the location. It won't be Seattle proper. It'll be near Seattle, so it'll be easier for people to access. I'll just tell people it's going to be in June. You probably see the dates up there. Okay. But it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. And if you've ever been to our VIP night, we win awards for it. We always have a good time. We have great food, and I mean, just if you come down to the VIP night of the boat show, you'll or just email Timmy or I, and we'll make sure and get you some VIP tickets. So I'll put that out there as well. It's the Wednesday night before the actual boat show begins, and it's adults only, 21 and above. We host a pretty good event down at the Irwin and Outer Reef booth. Definitely need to give some credit to Outer Reef because they also help us put on that exceptional VIP night. I mean, every time we come away, and I'm just going to say, I'm used to the other brokers sending their clients over for our food and to come in. It's just kind of funny. And the first couple of years, I was a little upset about it, but now I realize that they know where the fun is at. So it is what it is. So let's just have we'll have a great VIP night. We'll have a great rendezvous, and all the details will be announced. And there will even be an app for our rendezvous. So, anyways, if you know anything about us, know any of the Irwin brokers, just ask, call, email, text, whatever. We'll give you some details. Adding speakers, adding seminars as we speak, and people are actually pretty excited about this thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. So details to follow. That's what I'll put about it for now. But we got a couple of fun topics today. This is going to be a little bit more industry based today, Timmy.
No, it's going to be fun. You know, we've been cruising for how long have we been out? A month, probably by now. And yeah, as we're having this discussion, there's been a very small subset of topics that seems to be discussed every single place that we stop. So I'm excited to talk a little bit about the boat market today, and both for buyers and sellers out there to talk of what are people chatting about out in the real world on the docks, and then what are you hearing on the broker side. So I think this will be fun.
Yeah, and all the information I'm going to give out today is not just based on our company by any stretch. We may even have another broker stop by here. Amy from BananaBelt's supposed to come by today. She may even pop in, and she knows I'll include her in this because she's always wanted to come on this. And we invite other brokers and friends. We've advertised for other brokers. Like I said, this is about boats, not about one particular company, as we've talked about. But I'm always happy to share the broker's insight into stuff, and look forward to hopefully giving out some information and seeing where we go.
Yeah, if anybody's scared of the F word, you should probably just turn this off the second you hear Amy's voice or see her face. Just that'll be our disclaimer right there.
There we go.
Is she there? It looks like you're looking over your shoulder.
I was just looking out the door. I don't see her yet. So I know she was showing a boat here locally. So
Well,
earlier said she'd be here. But
that'll be
I
fun to
didn't
bring her in.
coming on, but we'll see.
Okay, cool. Good. So
So
I'm gonna start with the number one topic that has been talked about everywhere that we've been. And like I said, we're in Garden Bay right now, but we've been through the Gulf Islands, and I've been out to Ucluelet and back and done a bunch of that kind of stuff. So been on a lot of docks, talked to a lot of people, and I think the number one question has been, where are all the people cruising? It's not dead, but boy, it's quiet.
Yeah, I mean, it was last year we were up there and fishing and all that, and it was tough to get on the dock. And some people had to wait a night or 2 nights to even be able to get onto one of the outstation docks. And Tim and I spoke briefly just before we started this, and you got on the dock not only no problem, you were one of the only couple of boats there.
There were two boats. There was us and yeah, I mean, one other 48 Tully. That
So
was it.
like you said, where is everybody? So we've had a bunch of clients go up north. We've got one that's on his way back from Alaska, but the first thing that's going to come to mind, it is summer of 2026. Fuel prices are up. People will always bring up fuel. Whenever any part of the boat process, it's a what is the fuel economy of a boat? What is the fuel economy of a boat? We all know boats are not overly efficient. There are some that are more efficient than others. There's time. You balance the fuel burn versus the amount of time somebody has. Not everybody can do 6 or 8 or 10 knots. Some people need to go faster. I mean, if I'm lucky, if I get a couple of weeks, so I need the speed to be able to go in our boat. I just don't, I can't slow down like as much as I would like to. Plus, our boat is not designed for that. So it just depends. Fuel prices, I think, knowing what's happened in world events has definitely. I think a lot of people changed their plans, is what happened. Some people say, hey, let's go. They'll do their maintenance and they'll just go, and fuel isn't that big of an issue. But I think because of all the media and all the everything around fuel prices in the last 6 months, as we've been in this conflict in the Middle East, obviously for 6 months now, this is not a political bend one way or another. This is just the fact of fuel prices. That people saw fuel prices going up and they just said, I think what you're seeing a lot of, I'm not sure where fuel's going to be, and I don't want to plan around fuel maybe going to $7, $8, $9 a gallon. So I think that even though we never got there, I mean, fuel is always a little more expensive in Canada. Actually, not a whole lot more than Washington, but I think that's part of it. I think they just plan to stay more local. I mean, I didn't get to go to Roche Harbor. You were at Roche Harbor for the fourth. What was Roche like?
Roach was packed. It was. The anchor field wasn't as busy as it has been the last 4 or 5 years, I would say. But of course the docks were completely booked, which is to be expected. And it was busy, but that was the first time I think I started to feel it. Where you could have come in on the third in the evening or the morning of the fourth, and there was a place to drop the hook if you were, you know, 60, 70, 80 feet.
That just doesn't happen. I mean,
Doesn't
it's
happen.
yeah, our family cruising this summer's been more local because of a trip we took earlier in the summer. So we've done more local stuff to Poulsbo, Bainbridge, Gig Harbor, around the sound type stuff, just based on time and kids and everything else. But I definitely think fuel played into that, but also, if people are in Roche Harbor, I mean, that's a day trip one way or another, sometimes two, depending on your boat and how far you got to come from south. But fuel definitely, I think, is playing a factor that we didn't necessarily expect. Now, when I will say and I have this conversation with a lot of brokers, talk to your favorite broker, he or she will tell you probably the same thing, is that we always get the question on fuel, but at the end of the season or 2 seasons or 3 seasons, when we keep in touch with our clients and that, we ask them, well, how much fuel you're burning and where's fuel on your expense list? And it's initially when you're going to buy it, it's number one, it's the most important. Well, actually, it's down to about 6 or 7. And traditionally, it's also because of how we cruise here in the Pacific Northwest. We're a 4 to 5 month season with a little shoulder here and there, but most of us don't put fuel in our boats or gas, depending on what type of boat you have. After October, you usually top it off about then, and it may put fuel in it, maybe April, maybe, but probably not till June. Please use your fuel conditioner. Just FYI. And if you get fuel with ethanol in it, do what you need to do. But yeah, I think fuel is definitely playing a part of that. And then the other side of it, Timmy, because this is the side that you're a part of, people are the stock market's doing well. Things, the economy, depending on where you are in the country. We'll talk about the Northwest in particular. We're still humming along. We're doing well. It's not, but not everybody's feeling that. And the tech sector has been a little bit more. You deal with a number of clients with your financial with the financial management firm. So what are you kind of feeling among clients and how they're feeling about the economy in general?
I think people are just they're a little gun shy about spending a bunch of money right now.
Mm.
I think that's sort of just the general feel of we don't know if we want to if we want to put a whole bunch of capital out, just given some of the uncertainty. I think that's been a pretty common theme for us, as we're talking to people. And then, the other thing too, I think there's the potential, and I've been thinking about this a lot, but I think there's the potential that we've got a demographic shift happening,
Mhm.
especially in the bigger boats.
Yeah.
If you start looking at who's running something 50 feet and up, which if you're going to go cruise, I mean that's the bulk of what you're seeing, out doing longer cruises, are those 45-ish, 50 plus, the bigger boats, and it's that group's getting older that are running those things. You're not seeing as many young people. So
Yeah.
I don't know if people are potentially aging out, or just going on month-long cruises instead of going all summer, or what the story is. But I think somewhere between we're not going to spend a ton of time, we maybe just don't have the stamina for it anymore. I feel like that could be part of it. I talked to one guy that was so upset that the kids and grandkids wouldn't get off their screens.
Oh, yeah, I've had a couple of conversations with clients about that, and I mean the demographic of that is definitely changing. So, and it brings up another point. I mean, we've got all this technology on all these boats, right? So you've got Starlink. We've gotten away from satellite TV because of Starlink. You still, I mean, depending on the boat, you still have satellite TV on a number of boats.
Yep.
And I don't know if we all get it, how many hours a day we spend on our phone. And that's, and we deal with it with kids and what phones and screens do with kids, getting them away from that screen and the endorphins that it releases when they're on a screen versus when they're not. And the screen endorphins are replacing the outside and play endorphins, and they're not getting enough outside and play, enough of it to stimulate that dopamine, basically, to stimulate them to want to play more. Versus when we all grew up and our parents did the boating thing with their parents, it was we're out, we're crabbing, we're fishing, we're swimming, we're doing all that stuff, energy stuff that releases those endorphins and that dopamine and all that gives you the runner's high, so to speak, keeps you going all day and come home before it's dark. It's changing. And now with the accessibility of the internet at your fingertips anywhere in the world, I mean, thank you, Elon, which is great for work when we got to work, but knowing how and when to turn that off and learning how when to turn that off, I think is becoming a part of it. The client that I had, that he was so frustrated because his grandkids would not get off their screens, and they're up there in the middle of Desolation Sound. It's stunningly beautiful. The fishing was great. The prawning was great. They're getting shrimp, and there were killer whales, and they wouldn't get off their phone to go look at killer whales. I've never heard of something like that. That's like, once people come from around the world to look at our killer whales, and they're off the back of their boat and they won't look up from their screen. Oh, cool. I mean, if you've ever seen one in person and just put it down and observed it, God, it's so cool. Makes you realize how small we are. But no, I think you hit it on the head there. Priorities and the demographic is definitely changing, and it's something to be mindful of. And it's not that screens are bad. We're not saying that, but uh, the demographic changing and how people do boating and what they do while they're boating. I mean, the books, but now instead of having a paperback book, you've got the Kindle.
Yep. Oh, and
So, and
just
that,
learning stuff. I talked to one guy, and we were chatting about tow behinds, because he saw ours and was just chit chatting about, oh, how'd you mount your downriggers and this, that, the other thing, just because that setup's a little unique. But that was the discussion. He's not going to tow his fishing boat anymore.
yeah.
And it was the grandkids don't want to learn about, where the spots are. They don't want to learn about how the bait's running. They just didn't even want to go. And even
Wow.
when they went out fishing, if it wasn't immediately catching, it wasn't happening fast enough for them to be like, hey, right, this is fun. It was when we're bored. We want to do something else, and he wanted to
Okay,
go troll all morning.
so we're going to do something real quick. And if you didn't know this, Tim's wife, Jenny, who is phenomenal at editing things, Hey Jenny, let's put in the picture of Timmy, I, and Mason real quick. We'll show you what kids are doing now and what fishing is like. So give us a second. We'll see if Jenny can plunk that in. And that's, I mean, we're teaching. I mean, Timmy was nice stuff, and we did it right there out of Garden Bay a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
And it's still one of our favorite pictures. It's just like we give Mason such a hard time about it. But but in general, yeah, they're just not. It's a different demographic, and it's getting outside and getting fresh air. I mean, it's and the smoke actually hasn't. At first I also thought, hey, maybe some of the smoke this year that was causing people to do it. Sorry, I was seeing if Amy was here. We got a few smoky days. We actually haven't been that bad. Has it been that bad up north? I mean, it's a little cloudy, I see up there, but hasn't been too bad, has it?
No, it hasn't been too bad. The last couple nights, actually, I mean, the sunsets have been incredible. We set chairs up here on the back of the flybridge where the tender would go, and yeah, it's been absolutely beautiful sunsets. So
Nice.
just a little
So,
cloudy today.
and you've probably seen a few little dinghies go by. And if you haven't been up to Garden Bay, by the way, it's a great spot. John Henry's got a great pier, got a great little setup up there. There's really good restaurants. There's an IGA which you can take your dinghy to, and there's Tim and I's favorite meat shop,
Oh
Timmy's
yeah,
Dog.
the pepperoni
That's
sticks. Yours are on the way. They're in the freezer.
Nice. So yeah, talking about cruising, and just people, so where else are they? And is this the farthest north you've gone so far this year, Timmy?
So far, yeah, we haven't decided if we're gonna go further north or start going back down south.
All right. So
Just
you were
watching
also
weather.
and you were also in the Gulf Islands. What did you see in the Gulf Islands? You were in Ganges and you went up by Ladysmith. What did you see I mean, kind of what were you seeing?
Same thing. I mean, the Ganges Marina, there, I mean, there was one 72 OA on the entire linear
Wow.
in August. I mean, that just it doesn't happen. We were talking to the guys at Oyster Catcher, the restaurant up there,
Hmm.
and same thing. He said, "Where the hell are all of you folks?" We said, "I don't know. We're here."
I mean,
But he
those.
said it's quiet. We're not feeling it. It's like, and it was the same story. And people are asking about fuel, but I just have a hard time thinking that fuel's in. You know,
I mean, fuel's
it's
not
an
an expensive thing, but it's not. I mean, you think about it. So if you're going to spend an extra 1,500, 2,000, say you even spend an extra 3,000 bucks on fuel, which I don't think many of us will spend that much difference unless you're in a much larger boat that is a high performance, go faster, and you're cruising fast. You're not going to spend. Is it really? We only have. I know this sounds bad, but we only have so many summers of cruising. Just in our lifetime, we get to a point and just is it really worth not cruising for a couple $1,000s. And a couple $1,000s, I'm not making light of a couple $1,000s, not at all, because it is not easily earned by a lot of us. But at the same token, is that going to keep you from cruising? Say, oh, I'm not going to go cruise because it's going to cost me a couple $1,000s more. Now, if it's 10 or $20,000 more, different story. But if the fuel is keeping you from boating, then I worry that there are other things that would also keep you from boating other than fuel. It's time. I mean, there's kids. Our boating is done in August, first weekend in August. We do seafair down here. We're back because Mason starts football. So, and I will say, kids' commitments. A lot of his buddies are now doing baseball. So let's just talk about kind of how things work. That baseball is still. We're in mid August, past midpoint in August, and kids are still playing baseball, and the tournaments and everything else. And we're not getting kids in the football program because they have to finish baseball. So I think that's part of it too. That the demographic, going back to the demographic, the younger ones have kids and they're all so busy. We all have so many things going. It's hard to dedicate those 2 weeks. That you really need 2 weeks to be able to go north. I mean, at least two
Yeah, you,
weeks.
you do.
You do. I mean, you can bomb up there. I mean, we cruise at 15 to 18. We're not that fast, but we can be up in Garden Bay in 2 days, and we do. We've done that. Weather dependent, of course. If you really want to get north and enjoy stuff a little bit north. So I think that's part of it too. But where I'll be very interested to see the economic stats that come out of this from from the BC sources, because most of those communities base their entire year, like where you are, a lot of that's driven by boaters. You know, you get same with Ganges. It's not entirely driven by boaters, but a lot of that community is recreational boater based and summer based, where they, you know, that it swells up. You know, the population swells up based on boaters and vacationers in the summer and tourists, and then the wintertime, you know, peters back down to the normal locals that live there year round. So it'll be interesting to see. So where are people? Um,
Yep. We got told thank you at the IGA grocery store by a couple that was behind us. It was just packed in there.
yep.
And there were people kind of bitching about how many people were there. And I said, hey, us boaters don't help anything. And this couple behind us, the lady, she goes, oh no, no, young man. She says, you just thank you for being here. You just keep our economy going. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's and those I mean those yeah. I'm hoping people get out and cruise because it's we literally live in one of the best places to cruise. And I even have a client I'm working with now that's actually possibly two. They're going to put their boats in the Northwest Explorations charter fleets. There'll be nice boats for people coming up next summer, new boats that will be in that fleet. They run a great outfit up there at Northwest Explorations for charters. They tend to have some of the, you know, the Grand Banks motor yacht style, a little bit more than some of the others, and they do a great job up there. So if you're looking to charter, and they don't even know we're talking about this, but this is what this whole podcast is about, is the good guys that are out there. The Northwest Exploration guys are a good charter, and they've stayed busy, but it seems like they've also been a little bit more local stuff, maybe not quite as far north. Um, as you know, if you're from out of the area and you want to come check it out, or before you explore, hey, we're thinking about a big boat, but we just don't know if we're going to love it enough. That's the good option for people is to go charter a boat. It's people say, God, $10,000 a week is a lot. It's like it is, and it can be upwards even more than that depending on the size of the boat. But it is if you don't want to dive into the, as you mentioned, the capital outlay. That's a good option to put. You're going to put a little more in your toe. You're going to put your feet in the water with that one.
Yep.
But it's a nice. There'll be nice boats, well kept, well maintained, disciplined charter fleet. So they run a good operation.
So let's talk for a minute about let's talk to the owner of a vessel first, and then we'll get into the buy side.
Okay.
But if somebody comes to you and says, I've got a 60-foot pilot house,
Hmm.
you know, and I'm thinking we might be done this year, we might have 1 or 2 more years, maybe. What's the market looking like? What are you thinking? Do we have the upper hand? Does the seller have the upper hand? Like talk a little bit, if you would, about what that discussion is going to look like, both on the buy side maybe first, and then or on the sell side maybe first, and then the buy side maybe second. Just if
Yeah.
it's kind of slowing down, if we've got a demographic shift, maybe, I mean, there's still always going to be a buyer for boats, right? But if it's maybe not as many, what's coming?
All right. So what we've seen over the past, I'm gonna just say over the past year, because I'll use that as the general, and this is not coming from just me and just my brokerage firm. This is speaking with my brokers, other brokers of, I mean, there's a lot of really good brokers out there. So this, and we, despite what people think, and we're a little different in the Northwest, we actually all talk to each other quite a bit. What are you seeing here? I call another broker that's got similar boat listed, and people should work with their favorite broker, personalities and everything else. So this is not just me speaking, but in general, that pilot house market that has normally been very stable in the 55 to we'll call it 65-foot range has definitely slowed.
Yep.
So, couple of reasons. Obviously, the economic side of things, where, like I said, the stock market's doing well, but slowed down. And I think people are a little hesitant to, with the capital outlay, just not being sure. We've all heard about all the various tech layoffs, especially Seattle. We're uh, a tech heavy economy here. We all know that. But that market has definitely slowed and prices have dropped accordingly. And we've seen ebbs and flows before. I mean, our firm has been around a long time. I've been through 9/11. We've been through the economic downturn, the recession, and what that entailed. The other, you also have a large segment of buyers that they look at boats, especially the newer segment, as kind of like a little bit like the automotive market where, hey, 5 or 6 years old is old. In the marine industry, that is not old. That's still relatively new. I mean, it's 5-year-old boats, pretty much a new boat these days.
Yeah.
Still, and one of the things that I tell people is that if you take, and this is just data that's out there, you take the number of boats produced between 2000 and 2008, when the economy was roaring, things were going well, inflation stayed low. Between 2008 and 2022, they produced a fraction of the number of boats they did in the 8 years prior to that. What does that mean? People go, well, the boats, they won a 2010, they made a 15-year-old boat, 16-year-old, 2015, 2018. It's not that the boats aren't available. Those boats do not exist. They were never built.
Yep.
So, and that's when you start narrowing down your search, whether you're using boatsandbrokers.ai, which we know those guys well, whether you're using Yacht World, which a lot of people are using, which whether you're using Boat Trader, those, I mean, those are kind of the bigger two of the bigger platforms, obviously the latter, but or you just do your Google search or your AI search, you'll see that there's just not a lot of boats in that category, 2006, 2010 to 2024. And then you factor in the cost, the inflationary aspect of it during the recession, we had what I refer to as hyper depreciation that was not natural or normal, but that was recession driven. And then we had the bottom, and then we had the snap, which is snap back up. Not only did it snap back up, we hit inflation, and then we hit COVID. And so you come that, and we had, I mean, between 2019, 2020, and now we've had 50% plus increase in wholesale costs. So it's a little different market. Plus, the market dynamic or the dealer dynamic changed uh, during that time frame in which you used to be able to go to the dealer of a boat and they had 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 boats in the 45 to 65 foot range available. He could buy and get your training and go out and go. Not so much anymore. Now everything is, especially probably 40 feet and above, especially, is all an ordered boat. The dealer may stock one or two at one or two of their locations on any particular coast. You may want to buy a 60 Princess, but you may have to go to California to look at one
Yeah.
because the dealer, they're just not going to stock them in all locations. So that has changed along with the dynamics of the market and wholesale price increases, and labor costs have gone up significantly in that time. There's a lot of different topics that we can talk about on this one, and I'm happy to share and bring in other brokers to talk about it as well, so you can get it from not just this side of it, but others as well. So getting back to the question, I got a little off topic there, but it is definitely slowed. It is a little more price driven, but the other thing that I think has changed is buyers' expectations. Many times buyers are looking for, if it's a little bit older boat, that it has everything brand new in it, and they compare a boat that has brand new stuff, maybe $400,000 or $500,000 in some cases, versus one that hasn't had that invested. That $400,000 or $500,000 investment is not gonna. We as a seller, we know you're not going to reap that, but that boat will sell for more than the one that doesn't have it. And comparing apples to oranges, and we're seeing less and less people taking off the shoes and putting it on the other foot that we used to see. I think when we start doing that again, you'll see a little bit more normalization. It's still a healthy market. There's still not a lot of boats for sale. Well-maintained boats that have had upgrades and improvements upon them are still selling. We're having we're having a great year. I'll just put it that way. We have not had a bad year at all. And we've got clients looking at boats anywhere from, we the whole range. We've got some smaller boats, in the under $100,000 range. I just sold a couple of boats in the 300. We've got some that are 4+ million. The whole range, and people
And you've
building
got a
boats as well.
you've got a new build going right now too. I mean, so
Yeah,
it's
we got a new build outer reef going since we're the outer reef reps. So that boat is actually starting this fall, or I'm sorry, this winter, and it's a long-term client that we've sold multiple boats to over the years. And so there's other factors that also play into whether new boats end up in a particular area. Um, based on the state's willingness to allow the boat to stay longer than 60 days. Let's just put it that way.
Yep.
Um,
The other thing too, in talking with a whole bunch of people, and you got to this for a second, but it's I've talked to quite a few people that have said they're getting ready to sell that say our boat's perfect,
mhm.
and it's running and it's great. And then talk to a lot of people that say we're looking for that boat. And
Yep.
you're in such close proximity to one another, that you're having the same discussion maybe at a different part of happy hour. And the person who said I'm looking to sell this boat is sitting on their cockpit having a cocktail, and the person who says I'm looking to buy that boat is right sitting, and you're all sitting on the same dock, but the person selling says my boat's perfect, and the person buying says you need an interior refit, you need electronics, and we're going to have to repower those engines. And if they're
Mhm.
older, the buyer's looking at it saying you may think it's perfect, but I'm looking at it saying, in 15 or 20 years when I'm done with it, I'm going to have to decommission it or give it away
Yep.
because there's not going to be a market. You're not going to be able to insure it. You're not going to be able to get mortgage for it, and you're probably going to spend whatever it takes to repower it. I mean, call Max, call Paul, whoever, Pacific Coast S3, they can quote you on that stuff, but you're going to spend $500,000 screwing
Yep.
around with a
And
boat like that. And I don't think the sellers are hearing it. And maybe the buyers are inflating the numbers some, but I've heard a lot of people that I think they're this close to one another. And one person says, I want to sell it. The other person says, I'd like to buy it. And the friction of I think it's perfect and I think it needs a repower is just tremendous.
it is, and I mean, and it can run. It is such a. That's where a good broker comes in to try to. You can't always bridge that gap. I mean, it's just let's be honest. No matter how good a broker is, the bottom line, take care of the client. And sometimes it's like they're there, but you're going to say, for whatever reason, it's not the right fit for either one. I mean, it's in it. The other thing that you bring up is it's going to need the engine. Well, AI says it needs an engine. Well, AI is a tool. Please remember that. I'm putting that out there now because I will tell you almost every conversation I had has had Chat GPT says this, Grok says this says this. And I just smile. What did Grok smell? Is usually what I'll come back with. Well, Grok doesn't smell. Yep, I know. And it's nothing's going to replace a person. As much as there's analytics, there's data, and the other thing that does not get factored in is the emotional side of this. We had a vessel that we just sold that the gentleman did not care what was wrong with it, and he said, "I don't care. This is not a smart decision, but this is a 100% emotional buy for us." And we said, "This is what the boat's going to need." He goes, I know, I don't care." And it turns out they had built the boat originally and wanted it back, so they
Oh,
didn't.
yeah.
So there's that. So there's a number of different things. So and yeah, insurance companies look at things based on age. You might have, and I've dealt with this on a number of with a number of clients. You might have a 19, we'll call it 1987 boat. Let's just say what I've got. And I still have my original engines in it. But you've got two different schools of thought on, hey, okay, those engines are only going to last this and this. You can find data to support anything you want to support. So we got to get down to what the boat has, and we got to look at each boat on its merit. But no matter what happens, my boat will always be in 1987. That's not going to change.
Yep.
So, and that becomes, as you start to get older and older, becomes more and more of a risk for an insurance company. So, but it doesn't mean that the boat becomes worthless. So boats tend to depreciate to a point where they just kind of stick. They might sell for a little bit more, a little bit less. Um, it just depends. And if you give me a second, let me get Amy. She just showed up. Let's see if I can get her to come on here. She just showed up. Everyone, you're gonna love this if I can get her to come on board. Let's see. Hold on 2 seconds. You got a few minutes? Where do you gotta go? You wanna come on this thing?
Oh my God, is that what you're doing?
Uh-huh. You sure?
Sure.
All right.
Does it matter what you say?
No, we put a disclaimer.
Oh, okay, there is a disclaimer.
There's its spam.
Okay, hi.
Good to see
Oh my God, it's so good to see you.
great. All right, let me pull up a chair and you'll, hey, Timmy, guess who's
I-
here?
I heard her.
Hi,
Yeah.
Timmy.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You had to fly off to exotic locations when I came to Anacortes. I'm still a little
I
pissed at
did.
you, but
Sorry.
you had a good time, I'm sure.
Awesome time. Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
So everyone, this is Amy from BananaBelt Boats. You've all heard about her a lot. We've put the disclaimer out there, so you're covered.
Okay.
If you're scared of the F word, run now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know if you guys had like bleeps or something.
No, this is
Okay.
raw. This is
Was not expecting that.
full Amy.
No, this is
Get
fun. So we're gonna catch you up on what we're talking about. So
Okay.
I've been cruising for a while, like got up here in June, and what everybody's talking about is where the hell is everybody? Why are there
Right.
not as many boats out? What's going on? What's happening? So we've talked about fuel. We've talked about a potential demographic shift. We've talked about the fact that you can't get the kids off the screens. And, multiple old boys have been like, I'm not towing my fishing boat. I'm done with this shit. I'm turning the internet off. We're selling it. I mean, you're hearing all of this stuff. So give us the Amy version of where are the boats and why?
Ooh. So has it been all summer you feel like that it's been empty?
It's been slow. We were at Ganges a couple weeks ago, and there was 172 OA on the entire linear of that, Ganges Marina, one boat sitting by
That
itself there. Couldn't believe it. Unheard
that's
of.
weird. Because I felt like this the tail end, August, it seems like school started earlier this year for a
Okay.
lot of districts. So I do think that's pretty impactful. But that only explains like just the past couple weeks, because that's what I noticed, the other week was it definitely seemed like a lot of people were coming in, putting their boats up on the hard and kind of finishing up early because the kids going to school. And I think some people were afraid to smoke.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm also wondering, like, our Eastern Washington folks, I mean, we've got a lot of, they're not like official snowbirds, but you've got a lot of people from Eastern Washington that come over here during the summertime. They're trying to save their shit.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that could potentially be some of it.
Okay.
But like usually in the industry, we're having these conversations with people, so we kind of know why and we can put our finger on it, but I don't think I really am. I mean, this is just me throwing shit out.
Yeah, that's
How's
what we're
how,
talking about. That's talking the doc is like, where is everybody?
Yeah,
how's volume been at Banana Belt? You guys
good.
busy? Yeah.
Like stupid busy.
Good.
Like to the point where it's like, I should not have gone to exotic locations. I was on the phone. There was one day on vacation. I think I literally was on the phone for 5 consecutive hours. I couldn't hang up because it kept ringing. So I'll take it though. I mean, I'm not saying I might
No.
not have had a glass of wine while I was talking to it, but I disclose it.
You
But
you missed
But
you missed the fact that we had a bottle and it was a magnum of white burgundy that was all set up for when we saw Amy and Anacortes.
I'm the worst ever.
No, it's still sitting here. We got boarded by customs. They didn't take it, but it's completely tucked away like by the wine fridge in the salon. So next time
That
we
was
see you, that's the one we're opening.
all right.
It's he's still gonna come down south, so he's still up north. He's
Okay.
You have time, Amy. You're not
Good.
done.
Good. I'm so glad. That's awesome.
Yeah. So and so we're just talking about like the economy and just the tech industry is just a little down at the moment.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then the other thing we're talking about that Timmy brought up was that you get a boat, that's I'll just take my boat, an older boat, and it's got all we as a seller think it's the best thing ever. It's ready to go. The buyer goes, well, it needs all this stuff, and it's going to need a repower. And how do you bridge that gap between people? Because I will say that I don't know if you've seen it, Amy, in the market for pilot houses between 55 and 65 has slowed quite a bit.
Okay. It actually makes me feel better that you said that. So it's not just me. Like that. I mean, you know me, I love me a pilot house,
Mhm.
like nobody's business. And normally we're coming upon pilot house season, but it's really strange.
It is.
I'm trying like, okay, right now of the deals that I've got, I've got two Pilot House deals.
Mhm.
And then all of the others, that's the thing is normally I can actually pinpoint, right? Like what's selling. Like
Mhm.
last year, this time, last summer, it was super busy because it was quiet during spring with all the tariff stuff.
Mhm.
I could tell you it was between 45 and 49 feet, 300 to 500,000 all day long.
Mhm.
And I can't, I mean, I've got Ranger Tug, 580 Meridian, 52 Jefferson, a big Katie Krogan,
Mhm.
like, and like a little Bayliner.
Yep.
I can't pinpoint it, but not as many pilot houses.
It's inconsistent. There's not a lot of consistency right now. It's
No.
like it's a mix of stuff.
Totally.
You know,
So
we're doing
what makes about liquid, guys? Like what makes about actually liquid? If somebody comes to you and says, I've got Pilot House, I've got Princess, I've got Sportfish, I've got, Nevada. I mean, what's moving?
I mean, all those brands that you talked about are all a little bit slow at the moment. I mean, there's the bigger stuff is definitely slowed. The key is having an exceptionally clean boat with good service records, good service history, and having it all there for people to see. You don't have to go crazy on all the newest electronics. I mean, it's got to have, if it's a 20-year-old boat, it has original electronics. That'll be a nick. But certain brands tend to sell better than others, especially when everything else slows, the established brands. But we've even seen, I mean, I'll say we've seen West Bays slow down. I mean, usually a 58 West Bay is a super popular boat. Those have slowed down. 58 Ocean Alexanders have slowed down, which is surprising. Then the N64s. Those two, the 64, 58 OAs and 58 West Bays, those go back and forth. Those guys, I mean, head to head. But and you're seeing a little bit. You might see some of the boats that aren't quite those, like the Symbols and that are in terms of tier level. If it's priced well, those will sell. But they're definitely seeing a little chink in the armor. But I say that having the last 3 weeks, we've actually had more activity in the last 3 weeks than we had in the prior 4 months on those boats. So I
Yeah.
think that is starting to see. You guys have probably seen the tour of our 57 Tolly and our 58 West Bay. We've been actually showing those boats the last couple of weeks.
Those are nice.
Yeah, and they're not sitting right out front.
I know. I was
Nice.
gonna ask if I could get over the West Bay.
Yeah, it's open.
Yeah.
So,
myself.
and then I mean, give us a little bit of an idea because this applies to buyers and sellers, I think. But are these 90s and 2000s boats? Because that's what we're talking about. We already discussed. Like they just weren't building new stuff in '08 and after. So if you're looking for 50, 60 feet, are these 90s 2000 boats, are they harder to insure? Are they harder to find moorage for? Is there a lending market for it if people aren't going to just, liquidate stocks or whatever they're going to do to pay cash for it? Like what's the world look like in acquiring it financially, then getting it insured, then finding a spot to put it?
I think it's under. I mean, we've all heard the term "long in the tooth." There's certain boats that get a little long in the tooth. During the 80s, the popular boat in the 80s, Pilot House wise, were 45 88 Bayliners, 50 Ocean Alexanders, both Mark 1s and Mark 2s, as well as then you started to see the 52s. And those were the predominant, there were some other ones in there, but those are the predominant Pilot Houses of the time. And those boats are getting, as I say, the word long in the tooth, where
Perfect word.
some people, some people have updated them. The style, there's some classic styles like that. Like Tullycrafts are kind of a timeless boat. Same with kind of Flemings. Those have those lines that become timeless. So those will always be popular no matter what year the boat is and how they've been maintained. But the other ones do show a little bit more age. And by now people have had to invest in them, and a lot of them have. And the other thing too is you get the new demographic of buyers that might have been in their 30s when in the 80s and 90s that are now moving, getting closer to retirement, and they're looking at boats going, God, those are old boats. Again, fiberglass isn't going anywhere. It's got a stamped number on the back of the boat that tells you what year it is. That doesn't mean it's a bad boat. And the engines, if they've been maintained, honestly will last a lot longer just if they've been maintained. It's not uncommon, depending on the engine, to see 6, 7, 8,000 plus hours, and especially there's a difference between East and West Coast. The East Coast people tend to use their boats a lot more, so they have more hours on it. Versus I've had people say, God, this boat has 2,000 hours and needs an engine rebuild. And we, as a broker, we just kind of shake our head and go, huh, okay. I understand, but it's not uncommon to see a boat come from the East Coast. Tell me if I'm wrong, where you have 300-400 hours a year. So you get a 10-year-old boat that's got 4,000 hours, and there's nothing wrong with it, and it's accepted back there. There's differences in standards, and there's so many different things that play into a boat search, and I mean we talked about this in the past, but we can go over East versus West Coast at another time. But the demographic of the people buying it go, I don't want a boat in the 90s because that's an old boat. Well, that's the only boat that really exists in the style. The people don't make a modern pilot house like they did in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. The style has changed. More flush deck, more trawler style, more everything on one level. If you go look at a new Princess or big tall side decks, because you have so much space, big mast. It's the design of boats has changed.
Yeah.
Sea Ray Sundancers. Everything is a coupe now. You can't get a regular Sundancer.
Everything is a coupe.
Everything's a coupe. So that style has changed. And there's still for those of us who still have a little bit of hair left, we still like a little breeze through our hair every now and then.
But going back to your initial question about, okay, what was it? Mortgage, pricing, age, loans, insurance. Insurance, I'm not seeing any issues. Like I don't have any issues with people getting insured. I think what I am seeing is more stipulation requirements, because I'm seeing still a lot of people going from like a 22-footer to a 45-footer. So I'm seeing that's more, it's not so much the boat that I'm seeing people have maybe more restrictions applied, like more captain time or something like that for insurance. It's more the buyer. But I think no, like mortgage. And that's like, I have never had as many big boats as I do in my yard now. Some of it, I have a bigger lift now, so I can move them, but they're not moving as quickly because the mortgage factor is still an issue down here.
Now, and if you haven't been up to BananaBelt Boats, they run a well-oiled machine.
Thank you.
So it's it's a boat show every day at BananaBelt Boats. It's a plug for a friend.
Thank you. I'm like, thank you.
They offer dry storage options for as Anacortes. That's a huge business in Anacortes, and in any case, but no, it's a really good option for people. And Amy goes through the differences between in the water mortgage, what you have to do when it's out of the water. There are different maintenance requirements between the two of them.
For
Things
sure.
you have to think about in the water that you don't have to think about out of the water, and vice
And
versa.
vice versa.
Your boat's not going to sink out of the water.
Also true.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That was great fun.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. I know the rules.
I know. No, I listen, I'm trying not to step on feet here, but if I hadn't had that facility, especially like during COVID and the subsequent years, and even now, at least I have a place to put somebody until they find mortgage. Because otherwise, if you start telling people you got to go find mortgage and you don't have any connections, they pick up the phone, they start calling, they're being told of these insurmountable wait lists the larger the boat is. So I do think that's part of a factor. And then going back to, like the newer generation of boats, these coupe styles, but like, so I showed a boat to a guy and he was late 70s, right? And we get aboard and it's a Ray Marine E120. And the best part is, I turn it on for him because he asked for that. And then he's taking his finger and he's touching the screen. Like he's trying to use it as a touch screen. And so my point is, even our older generations, right, wanting to see that newer technology. And I think that's something that is becoming more and more important. And that runs right down from your electronics to the technology and the rest of the boat to your engines. So I think, wanting to be able to plug in a computer system for diagnostics, with electronic engines versus the mechanical. So I think some of that is also coming to play, especially as we have younger generations looking at boats. It's that newer style, feel, and tech. Unless it was somebody who like grew up on their grandpa's sailboat and they want something that is nostalgic, that's a different buyer. But that's one of the shifts that I'm seeing in a lot of people right now.
And I'm waiting for the 80s automotive shift to come, because I was watching last night, and the most popular collector cars now are 80s station wagons among the younger generation. They don't want the Lamborghinis, they don't want the Porsches, they don't want all that. They want the Eagle station wagon. That is like a hot ticket right now. So
That's
so they gotta
amazing.
so the younger generation is starting to understand that newer is not always better. And I will say this, newer is not always better when it comes to boats. It's nice. It can be nice, but it just depends on circumstance, budget, time, resources, time allocation. There's a lot of things that go into it. So, uh, but yeah, but getting back to what do you do to bridge that gap? Understanding the market and who's coming to look at your boat and accepting who's looking at the boat, what it might be, is going to be is something that we like to discuss. And I will say, I mean, Amy offers a great storage option for people, and for those of us down here a little further south, I will say your broker should work with you one way or another to find a place to put your boat. And
Yep.
if they don't, find another broker.
Yep.
Because if they're just order takers, that's not the broker you want.
Mm-mm.
So there's plenty of order takers out there.
Booyah.
So,
I love it. The fist bump. I'm getting some FOMO. I'm not sitting there. Like, I feel really left out right now. All right. So,
Oh,
so tell,
Jimmy, we
tell,
miss you, buddy.
tell, tell me, we're a float plane away.
I know.
We're a float plane away. You just got to get on it.
Uh,
All right. So tell us about the money part, because this is where I get the questions.
okay.
Okay. So if you've got a boat that you're going to list or you're looking to buy one, when does financing become a challenge? When are you looking at an all cash buyer, or when do you need to be an all cash buyer? Just general rules.
General rule. So 15 years is the first cutoff, 20 years is the next, 30 is the one after that. Beyond 30, you're going to not specialty lending, but you've narrowed it down to more local relationship type banking.
Okay.
There are some that will do it. Rates vary. The general rule of thumb I tell people is you need to have 40% debt to income ratio. Obviously, you need to have, at least not only the deposit, but a year's worth of payments in the bank. So if your payment's gonna be, $2,000 a month, you need to have at least absolutely liquid 20, at least that in cash available, readily available, so that they know that you're going to be able to sustain and make that payment on your boat loan. And they do like credit scores 700, 720 plus. There is some wiggle room, a little bit lower, not much, but that's, when the recession came, the lending really tightened up. So those
Okay.
are the three. I say 720 plus, debt to income ratio of 40% or less with your boat loan, and that takes into all the accounts, all your subscriptions, everything else. They're going to look at everything. They're going to need 2 years of tax returns. There's really not a whole lot of stated left. There's a couple of stated programs, but not really. But they're still going to do a lot more verification than they've done in the past.
Okay. So I'm
Okay, that's
hearing 20
Not
years,
like
30 years,
really
20,
Sorry.
20 years, 30 years. It's if you're selling, you need a cash buyer.
yeah,
If you're much
beyond
older than that,
Yeah, beyond 30.
yeah.
beyond
Yeah.
30. Okay.
And I think we're going to see a shift in this. And talking to some of the marine lenders we use, at some point there's going to have to be a shift. And because, as we related to earlier, the newer boats that they want to finance don't exist. So but they haven't run into the shortage of boats yet. And once that really hits, and that's going to hit in the next 10 years,
Mhm.
I think we will see a shift in it. And then they will start looking at what has been done for refits, what has been done for repowers, and calculating that into valuations. And we should work on getting a surveyor on Floatplan to have a discussion with a surveyor, one or two. I think that would be good if we can get one to come on and just talk about stuff and how they go about things.
I do too. And so what's happening, you guys, between asking and transaction prices? Can you talk about that in this kind of a forum?
Please.
Okay.
I love the smile on Amy's face right now. I'm so happy. I'm
Only
so happy. She's
Because
like,
I'm always looking for like funnier, nice ways to say things to people. And as I've been explaining to sellers, or I was just talking to a guy who's going to list his boat with me, I wanted to prepare him. And what I've been telling my sellers is no sellers are doing cartwheels over the agreed upon selling price. So they're not excited and about what the boats are actually selling for, but they're doing backflips just to get the boat to go away.
yep, okay. That's consistent with what I'm
And I
hearing
hate
too.
saying that, but that's what I'm seeing. I mean, I'm not, 2009 where I, you know, it's basically, it was a race to the bottom in order to sell a boat, but those price drops are working, but they gotta be big price drops.
Yeah, and I'm seeing if a boat is priced accordingly, I'm seeing 4 to 6% off ask is what I'm seeing. But that's if the boat is priced in the market way in which
Yeah.
says we still have a lot that are up there that have not adjusted their price. But if it's in the range, and then it comes into effect, you get certain boats that will still always sell for more. You know, we recently sold a 57 Tollycraft walk around. It sold for more than some boats significantly newer than them. It had refits. So it's not apples to apples on everything. You do have to look at what has been done and when it was done for valuations. So if you had a boat that went through $1 million refit over the last 5 years, it is going to sell for 20% more than or maybe even 50% more than the lowest one out there. They're not all at the bottom. So you've got to, and this is where the difference between a broker and an order taker will come in, evaluating each boat on its merits. It's no longer a zero-sum game, and here's the market, and here's a data sheet of everything sold. That's not going to work.
And to add to that, I'm gonna go ahead and say, listen, I love me some Chat GPT, and I appreciate that information. And I'm not gonna say I didn't even cheat the other day to find the hot water heater on a 580 Meridian.
Mhm.
Call me if you need to know. But Chat GPT, Grok, whatever your AI is, they won't take the place of an actual broker. I mean, they can definitely take place of an order taker.
Yeah.
But a lot of the advice that comes from, if you don't know the nuances between different kind of boats and the market and factors like refits, repowers,
Canvas,
yeah, and how expensive canvas is.
a dinghy. So the dinghies have become an issue.
Oh,
Dinghies are so expensive now. I mean, we all know that, and I'll tell you, the dinghy guys are selling. They're not breaking the bank. I mean, they're doing fine, but they're not taking wheelbarrows of bricks. Their costs have gone up. Oh, I mean, everything has gone up. But you look at we have a lot of people that bring their boats and say, well, I just spent $30,000 on a dinghy. I'm not going to include it at that
Yeah.
price. And you know what? If you were that person, you'd be saying the same thing buying it. So please take that into account. If it's
Yep.
got a dinghy that's a 2021 dinghy versus a 2001 dinghy, there is a difference, and that 2021 dinghy is going to carry more value than the 2001 dinghy. Just going to happen. So just be on both sides of that. And that's funny thing, you mentioned Chat GPT and AI. I told the message I told Timmy earlier, I said, so what did Grok think of the smell?
ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
So good.
So anyways,
Yeah. No, the dinghy, I can't even. And I get it. I can't argue with somebody who just spent 30 grand. Some of those dinghies are real sexy.
yeah,
But they don't want to throw it in, and depending on what the selling price or the list price is of the boat.
Mhm.
But then on the flip side, you have a buyer saying, well, it's like gone are the days of finding like a center console Zodiac, right? With like a 20 horsepower Honda that you could get for 5 grand.
Like that one I bought off your lot in 2015, 16. You remember that?
Oh my God, I forgot about that. I love it.
So you
Yeah,
can
that thing's
still
still alive. So Brad and Katie from Prism Graphics, they have that now. It's got a new engine on it. Brad has it looking just spectacular. And we keep seeing them cruising back and forth. Like we went past each other in Dodd Narrows, like, I don't know, one boat length apart. And Jenny's looking over, she's like, God damn it, I missed that dinghy.
That was crazy.
But yeah,
crazy.
that was in the day. That was $5,500. No, there's no
Right.
way.
Like,
There's no way.
you can't find that anymore. So yeah, the dinghy thing it's an interesting, I'm sure a whole nother topic for you.
That's a whole
guys
nother
one day.
topic, so.
Yeah.
All right. So is the higher end market behaving differently? Do you get to a price point where things are different, or has everything we've been talking about, is that behaving if you're at $1.5 million or 2.5 or 3.5? The same as it's at 500? Like what are we looking at?
Under $1 million has been more challenging. I would say 1.5 million to 5 is still, though the clientele that are buying that typically are more resistant to fluctuations in the market, ups and downs, than everybody else.
Yep.
There's the most politically correct way I could put it.
That was
Yeah.
lovely. I would not have put it that way, but
Yeah, that's, I mean,
How
they're
would
just,
you have
they're,
put it, Amy? Let's do this.
Wait,
I'm trying
disclaimer.
so hard not to use the F word. You have no idea. This is like the most respect I could ever offer to anybody.
Oh, fuck it,
Uh,
Amy. You can do it. I'm okay.
The more fucking money you got, the more you're willing to pay for it. Then the more fucking money you got when you own a more expensive boat, you don't have to sell it to make a mortgage payment. You don't have to sell it to buy a second property. When the money is there, then you know you. I love it when I have clients that think, oh well, I Googled that guy and he's got tons of dough. Yeah, and the tons of dough doesn't mean he can give it away. It means that he can afford to give it away. It means I can hang on to that just fine until I get the number that I want. So,
Oh, yeah.
so that was a great question in that, yes, that million plus market, it is a different market. And so some of the extraneous, is that a word? The other shit that are factors in boat purchasing aren't as much a factor here, like fuel prices, necessarily what's going on in the economy. It's its own little subset.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to a lot to people now because I don't know if I've shared this with you, but I have financial float plan trademarked, right? So the succession planning around these bigger boats is something that I think really sets us apart in the planning world. And so we're having these discussions with people of there's plenty of money. Like I understand that you've got deep pockets and short arms. I'm okay with that, as we're talking about this boat stuff. But if you don't deal with getting this thing liquidated at a reasonable price while its maintenance is up to date, while you've been doing it, your estate's going to have to take on that project. And as these people are getting older, I'm seeing a lot of these guys that they're just not keeping up with the maintenance. They're not paying as much attention. They're not running it. They're not using it. I mean, you've got the potential to cost your estate some real dough to not let one of these things go and just be done with it. Like to your point, the backflip of it's off the books.
Of getting rid of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're not in, because lending did tighten up. We're not in the same. It is a much more level playing field than it was during COVID. It is not a buyer's market. And I know there's people out there that say this is saying full of crap. It is not a buyer's market like it was during the recession. It is a negotiated market now that it didn't used to be.
That's a great way to articulate
So
that.
I mean, it is not, it's not, I'm getting every penny out of the boat. So you're not going to get that as a seller, and as a buyer, you're not, and I always tell people, if you're looking for the deal, then that's going to be the most expensive boat you ever owned.
Yep.
Because a deal on a boat usually means that it's not the initial purchase, it's the net cost in the end. What's that going to cost you? So
Can I go back to something that you said that I really appreciated, and it was a very, I think, salient point in this particular market. One of the things that Matt had said is that the difference between ask and selling, which is sort of what you had asked about, and but it was between about 4% and 6%.
if the boat's priced,
And that is that's the key, is if the boat is priced well. So the seller has to have had this moment where they're like, okay, please tell me what to do to sell my boat. And once they get to the price that's right for this particular market, then that ask between 4 and 6, I'd say, is about accurate. Again, ChatGPT is going to tell you come in and ask for 10% off. Well, you might as well just have told that seller that his kid's ugly. Right. I mean, there's something personal about a boat, like that's offensive. So it's not that I have people coming in absolutely tanking, like asking for, 50 grand off of a $200,000 boat. They have, that stuff isn't happening. But I did want to say, Matt made a really salient point and something to keep in mind for anybody who's thinking of buying a boat, watching this, realizing that if the price has been brought to something that's justifiable in the market, you're not going to get a ton of discount off of that.
Yeah, it's there are guys that want to steal a boat, and it does happen. To say it doesn't happen would not be true, but it's just you're not, the boat needs to be priced in the market in which, and it's sometimes a really tough pill to swallow, especially when we've invested so many tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to realize that you're not going to get that because it's treated like a home. When it's funny. Sometimes it's treated like a home when you go to sell it, but treated like a car when you go to buy it. because you treat it like, hey, I got to negotiate, got to get a good deal on the car, but when you're on the flip side selling, it's like a home. Well, it should be worth more. It should be this. So and a boat is the mix of those two things. You have one or two engines, sometimes three, sometimes five. We treat it very much like a home because there's a lot of home aspects to it. So it's that blend of the two. So
No,
hopefully
that
we
makes
answered
sense.
it. I mean,
I think so. And then I've got something else that I want to add here. I'm so glad that we have both of you here. So I'm going to talk about or ask some questions about interviewing brokers. And I would
okay.
never do this, Matt, if it was just you, because you'd have to be the buy side and the sell side.
Yeah.
But now that both of you are here, one of you gets to be the buy side, one of you gets to be the sell side. Who wants to be who?
I'll let you pick.
No, that's not how we're going to do it. Amy, you're the guest. Do you want to be the buy side or the sell side?
It doesn't matter to me. I mean, buy side.
Okay, perfect. So, Amy, we're looking to buy a 60-foot pilot house. What are we shopping for in a broker?
I mean, well, we're both sitting right here. No,
No, I know.
uh,
Matt's gonna be the sell side. So
no,
we'll get
no,
to him next.
no. I think that's a great question. I think the most important thing is having a broker that is actually interested in listening to the buyer, who asks the right questions. Which the irony is, and shuts up at the right time. But I feel like that's not serving me very well. But seriously, trying to understand how you as the buyer want to use this next boat. And of course, we take the information that we should be taking the information and an interest in all kinds of dynamics. So how couples work together, or who's going to be with you on the boat, right down to asking questions like, do you have a dog and how big is it? A broker is not asking those kinds of questions, as well as, do you feel comfortable walking around the side decks? Those kinds of things. I think for a buyer, our job as a broker isn't for you to send me a listing from Yacht World so I can go call the broker. My job, and a broker's job, and working for you as a buyer, is to bring to you suggestions and have these important conversations that are far beyond trying to sell you something just in their own inventory because they want to make a buck. I think you need to develop a personal relationship, but you also have to have trust. You're going to be handing this broker a big check for your earnest funds. So I always tell people, listen to your gut. If you don't feel good about handing them that big check, you should listen to that gut. But it's somebody that you feel like you can also tell things. Like, you talk about weird stuff like sleeping arrangements. You have to have somebody say, he snores like a goddamn zombie. I need to sleep in another room. If you don't feel comfortable sharing those details with somebody, well, then you probably shouldn't be working with them, because there are all kinds of aspects, but you want to be able to sometimes have those confidential conversations. And even sometimes it's about finances, or, I get husbands and wives all the time. Sometimes I feel like I'm a therapist, but as a buyer, it is this, I think it's like an intense, in a good way, relationship. You should feel like, when you're looking at a broker, thinking, am I going to want them on my boat next summer, having a cocktail or hanging out? And if you feel like no, don't work with them. Don't. I mean, I think there are so many nuances. And I'm also going to say the other thing is, only technical knowledge isn't enough to be an excellent broker. We don't all have to be able to rebuild an engine. We do have to be able to have enough knowledge to understand and read oil samples. What does it mean? Oh, okay, well, if there's too much copper, but there's nothing else, it's leaching from the oil cooler, right? Like, yes, we should know the tech stuff, but you need to find somebody that makes sure that they understand the nuances of negotiation, working with people, having the right contacts. If you get in a kerfluffle with your insurance agent, I need to be able to come to you and be able to give you another resource. So stuff that you can't get by asking chat. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think I don't need to. That was yours. Not me.
That's my thing.
Yep. And it's this. I think it's the service after the sale part too.
Yeah.
You know, I
On a
know with,
broker that snuggles.
oh yeah. And
Snuggle.
can get you relationships to stuff too. I mean, I think about what we've got with, you know, all the different people we work with, but I mean, primarily S3. And that happened because Matt said, Timmy, you and Paul are going to be friends. You know, and you knew who to put me with,
Mhm.
It's
right?
because Matt's
Out of everybody in the phone book, but you knew exactly who I was going to sync with.
Yeah, and there are people, Timmy, that just don't need to meet
Amen.
for lots of reasons.
Amen.
Amy was not
Well,
one of them.
no, no,
Amy way a long time ago, and we've had lots of fun ever since.
Yes, we
We're
have.
rare. I don't think all three of us have actually ever been in the same place at once.
We haven't.
no,
It's yeah.
I feel like this is the closest actually that we've all joined together. That is
yeah,
weird. We need
no, it's
we need
crazy.
to do that.
All right, so Matt, let's go to the sell side. So
Okay.
I'm looking to sell my 60-foot boat. What am I
Okay.
looking for in a broker?
What experience does that broker have with any in that market segment? That doesn't mean that they're not qualified, but what do they know about? We'll just take 58 West Base. We'll just talk about it because that's just a bread and butter Northwest Pilot House. What are the differences between the years of the West Bays? What changed? You're going to have clients that are going to use Chat GPT to look all this up, and you need to be able to answer it without going to Chat GPT yourself. Where do they do their marketing? Do they do boat shows? Uh, is it just them? Are they a one person shop, which is just fine? If anybody knew Jim Irwin, I mean, the guy was incredible, sold more boats than most people ever knew. Jimmy White Shoes. So, what do they have experience in that segment of the market? And if they don't, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't give them a shot at it, because at some point everybody needs that shot. So it goes back to Amy's comment about getting to know your broker and do you trust them? And if the broker says, I can do this, then, and you've developed that relationship with them or working to develop that relationship, then it's okay to give that broker a shot even if they haven't necessarily sold of 58 Ocean Alexander, because at some point in all of our lives, we did it. Whatever industry you're in, you did something that you hadn't done before. So, ask where they advertise. How do they advertise? Who are the other brokers in their office? Do they work as a team? Yeah. How often do they? So here's another really important one. Do they cooperatively sell their boats? That is a huge one.
Tell me more
Second,
about that. Like,
okay, so
speak to that because
having
that
a
was a new
buyer,
topic to me when you brought that up the first time to me years ago. So,
so do they work if another broker has a buyer, do they work with other brokers? Do they like to work with other brokers? How often do they do it? What is their reputation within the industry? Are they a member of the trade association? Particularly a brokers association, because that differs greatly than a marine trade association. Both are good, both are valuable, both are necessary, but they serve different functions. But do they cooperatively work with other brokers? And then you need to go a step further. What do you do when you show a boat to a client and then you get a call from a broker the next day that represents them? You need to ask that question because it's coming up more and more. And I think what gets lost on a lot of listing brokers, we are supposed to be there to sell your boat. We are not there to earn all the commission. Those are two different things. We are there to sell the boat and to provide honest feedback, honest information to whether we're representing both sides or one side. We're not there. We're there to disclose things. And the disclosure thing is we're not regulated like the real estate injury, but a listing broker should ask you what you know. They don't want to ask questions that they don't like the answers to. They should ask you the questions anyway, because they're going to have to deal with it, and you as a seller are going to have to deal with it. And better to nip it in the bud and address it up front, and it makes the whole process go smoother rather than find out that a boat has been grounded after the fact. So, but going back to that co-brokerage thing, they're there to sell the boat, not to earn all the commission. If they end up getting both sides of it, hey, great, nice, that's wonderful. It's not a requirement, nor should it be a priority. So I mean, that's something that, and working and I'm gonna put my shoe on the other foot that I've had clients call me and say, hey, I went and talked to so-and-so and I'm interested in this boat. And so I called the broker. Oh, they looked at it. They have to buy it through us. You can't be involved. And that's that. You as a seller, now put it on the other side of the coin. How is that helping you as a seller sell the boat? Because he's concerned about his company policy or about the commission more than he is about selling your boat. That right there is a problem.
Bingo.
So, and it's a huge swing in income. We understand that, but it also, and we're also 100% commission based. That's the other thing that, we're not going to go into all the brokers' commissions, and we all know what everyone talks about and all that, but there's a lot that goes into it, just like any job. But we are a performance based industry, so that is we're commission. So there's nothing but outlay until you get paid. There's no guaranteed paychecks, even as good, and you might know everything, and we can't, we can't make prices sell things for more than they're worth, and there's a lot of things that go into it. But going back, and the broker's there to sell your boat, not to earn all the commission. There also has to be, we also get we talking about commissions. You have to remember, a lot of times that gets split up 4 ways. So you get the brokerage firm, the broker, many times the selling broker, and the selling broker's firm. So you hear, and it's say, well, isn't that enough? And this is not to be up and down, and this is not the commission discussion, but to understand that gets split up a lot of different ways, and there's a lot of different roles that go into it. And sometimes the one person does all 4 roles. And it just depends. And it's the service after the sale. And the other thing that you want your listing broker, is he going to be there to help answer questions, even if he was not the person that sold him the boat, it was the other broker. So those are just some of it. That's a long-winded deal and covering a lot of different things we can talk a lot more about. But anyways.
I think the discussion on bringing up co-brokering is a really big deal that I think a lot of listing agents don't talk to sellers about. That one of the best things about Matt. I mean, I could have a client call him 50 million times, come see the boat, and then call me, and I can say, oh, I want to buy it. And I can call Matt, and Matt cares about getting the boat sold, and he puts out the red carpet, and he makes it as easy as he can for anybody to buy the boat, right? Where in other situations where sometimes that happens, and we try not to let that happen, I can call another broker and I'll be told, sorry, I'm not going to work with you on this. And I think I could say we've been in this industry long enough where we have clients that are loyal enough that will say, well, then screw it, I'm not buying it from that guy.
Mhm.
And the person who just missed out the most is that seller. So I'm so behind Matt on that.
And then the hard part is the seller never knows this transpired. And that is such a hard thing. And we know what's going on, frustrated because we're trying to get the boat sold, and honestly it's helping the seller, but the money got in, the, I hate to say, the greed got in the way of doing the right thing. And it's honest, when you focus on one transaction, you're missing sight of everything else. We should be a relationship based business. There are some where you just transact once, but it should never. There isn't anybody I can't call. That I've sold a boat to or for. I can't pick up the phone and call them. And sometimes I did both sides. Sometimes I did one.
Well, and that's the other thing too, when talking with the broker about the co-brokerage thing, is making sure that listing broker will work with other agents, but also making sure that they make it easy for other agents to work with them.
Mhm.
That's a huge one. Like, everybody knows, just call me, text me, whatever, right? Like, I just had a broker, very sweet, his client came up, my crew spent a couple hours with him. He'd already been up here, I figured the broker didn't know about it. I just let it go. He sends me this lovely text like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I don't care. We just want to sell a boat. So again,
That's what we're hired to do.
yeah, that's a biggie that I think sellers don't know enough about to even ask.
And the one thing a seller should ask is, once you get the listing online, once a broker, send them the back end of it so that they can see that it's, the trust but verify. I never get upset if someone questions it's something I'm doing. you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, ask anything. There's nothing wrong with knowing everything. I mean, it's that we're doing. We'll give you as much information as we absolutely can, but yeah, just make sure it's available. You know, when it goes on to the various multiple listing sites, that it says available for co-brokerage. You know, that's a key. Now, I will say there has been instances that have come up where they put, because of what's happened with some of the major dominant multiple listing services, brokers put not available on it just because of some of the things that happened, but the boat was absolutely available. So make sure the boat is available for co-brokerage. And if your broker does do both ends of the deal, they are doing both ends of the deal. That's the other side of it. This is not to agree, but you know, if you're paying the commission and say, well, you're getting both ends, you should earn less. Well, they're doing the both ends as if you had both brokers. So, and there's stuff after the sale that goes on. And so anyways, just all those things taken into consideration. And like I said, it's, and I know there are people going to watch it go, you know, brokers commissions and all that. But that's part of it. And I've always said, you don't have to have a broker sell your boat. You can absolutely sell it on your own. We offer a service. We have a service. There's things that we do, and there's resources that we spend on heavily on, millions of dollars on. And that's what we get remunerated for those who want our service. Do you have to have it? Absolutely not. Millions of boats are sold without brokers. You don't have to do it, but we offer a service. If it works great for you, that's great. And if it doesn't, ain't no problem. And there are a lot of owners that sell it on their own. So just depends. Everyone's different in what they need and want and all that. And yeah,
Well, I feel like I've behaved mostly.
you've done, yeah, I mean,
Trying.
much more than I wanted.
Again, respect for you
No,
guys.
no.
You know. No, I
It's
appreciate
interesting.
you letting me bump in.
Well, we've been
That's
trying to get
perfect.
one. We've been
Well, I
trying,
just waltzed in your office
and
today.
it worked out really well. Like shit, I didn't even know I was going to become famous today.
I
This will be a
love
good
it.
one. When people, we got to somehow get her, do something to make sure, or maybe put the picture of her, whatever, how we're going to do it, because when they see that we got Amy, that'll drive people.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is all, this is.
You're the
for-
best,
this is your
you're
world,
one of,
I'm living in it.
you're one of the best brokers and the best female broker in the state. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
yeah,
If you've
hands
got
down.
if you've got any good banana belt media,
Okay, I'll see. I'll have to ask Matthew.
okay.
He's got something. If not, he'll AI it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Don't even get me started. I have to stop like AIing backgrounds in boats.
It's
It's insanity.
the AI thing is getting ridiculous. I mean, it's it's almost causing fights.
Oh God.
The distrust is like like I said, how does Grok think it smells? Like I said, that
was great.
that's my line.
That's great. No, but it is hard because sometimes, like I had a client upload his survey
Mhm.
to Chat GPT for Chat GPT's opinion. And there were some things that were spot on,
Mhm.
but there were others that I want to be like, well, you know, Chat GPT doesn't know that this guy has owned the boat for 25 years and he's going to fucking punch you in the nuts if you ask for $20,000 off because of that.
Mhm.
Right. Like that's so, but like some of the other stuff, I'm like, yeah, you're right.
It's nuts. I was talking to another guy this summer that was asking questions about docking the boat, and he told me all about what AI said. And I said, all right, after all the time that we've spent talking about boats and stuff, do you trust me to put a boat on the dock or the chat agent on your phone? And he's like, yeah, fuck you, fine. You know, it's like,
It's true.
uh-huh.
It's true. I mean,
Yeah.
again,
So
don't even
do it
get me
this way.
started. It's gonna quash critical thinking, but yeah, it is amazing how more and more prevalent it's becoming in our transactions.
Yeah.
With clients of all ages, though, that's what I'm fascinated about, is it's not just the younger clientele.
Yep.
Well, it's good to see your face.
Yeah, you
I
too.
mean, thanks for letting me pop in.
Yeah, this is fun. I thought you might enjoy this.
Oh my, I mean, I could, fuck yeah.